Is it okay to date people or go on dates with people even though you don't think you'll end up together or married to that person? Should the end goal of dating always be marriage? Is online dating okay? Can I leave the church to find a spouse? And how far is too far sexually when you're not married yet? They all seem to be about the same thing: dating. Hey, we are in a series at the moment. If this is your first time at church, welcome. We're in a series called Relationship Goals, the Bible's best kept secrets. And it's not a secret, it's in the Bible. And the Bible's like the best-selling book of all time. Of sex, marriage, being single. We've talked about a whole lot of stuff. And tonight is the last night in our series. So everyone go, oh, yeah, see? Thank you, it makes me feel better. That's good. It's a big night tonight. We've talked about lots of issues. We've talked about friendship. We've talked about marriage. We've talked about parenting. We've talked about sex. That was a big week. I had a few people email me after. Someone just go, woo, what's that? Okay, that's good. That's fair enough. God made sex. Woo! Sex. Got to be careful, actually. I was saying this morning. Got to be careful. I had an email from a dad who said, thanks for that talk on sex. I can't wait to show that to my kids when they're older. And I'm like, that's cool. Like, it's all on YouTube if you want to see it. But you've got to be careful, like, at what stage you show your kids. I've got an 8-year-old daughter, and I'm very protective of her. But I think she heard me, like, preparing my message. Because I haven't had, like, the big sex talk with her yet. And she came to me, and she's like, Daddy, I've got a joke for you. And she always makes up jokes, and they're always just terrible jokes. Like, when kids make up a joke, it's like, knock, knock, who's there? Poo-poo. You're like, oh, poo-poo who? Poo-poo bum. Oh, hilarious. Okay, it is pretty funny. All right, it's pretty good. This is a different joke. She said, Dad, I've made up a joke. It's really funny. What do you call a saxophone that can have babies? I'm like, what? You know where it's going. A saxophone. Can I laugh at that? Is that allowed as a pastor? Can I laugh at that joke? I didn't know what to say. I was like, that's actually not bad, but don't say it again to anyone. I'll tell everyone at the church, but you can't say it again to anyone. I'm doing something tonight that isn't my favourite thing to do. Usually what I love to do is to get a verse in the Bible and just spend the entire night going, hey, what does this verse mean for us? Or, a chapter or something like that. I'm doing something different, and it's hard. I'm going to actually be answering some questions that you guys have sent in about relationships that you guys don't feel like I got to, or we got to as a church in this series, okay? So it's always hard because when I ask you guys for questions, you actually send them in. And you send in really hard ones. I'm like, why do I do this? I'm kind of, it's scary stuff. Let me have a look at the questions that you guys have sent in. You sent in about 10 questions, and I kind of put them down into these groups. So, have we got them there? Is getting remarried after divorce okay? What does the Bible say about same-sex marriage and relationships? I have a friend who's always disappointing me and letting me down. When is it time to cut off the relationship? Is it okay to date people or go on dates with people even though you don't think you'll end up together or married to that person? Should the end goal of dating always be marriage? Is online dating okay? Can I leave the church to find a spouse? And how far is too far sexually when you're not married yet? Yeah, see? You guys send in the questions. I'm like, thanks for that. Now, I have already done half of this talk, all right? So the first 3, if you're interested in that, I've actually done that. I did that this morning, and I've got way too much content to try and fit into one 20-minute message. So those 3 have already been done. If you're interested in my answers to those, which were fantastic, by the way, if you're interested, hopefully it was just the Bible. If you're interested in that, it'll be on YouTube by about Tuesday, all right? But so we're just going to talk about the last 4 because they all seem to be about the same thing, dating. So tonight's talk is called Dating as a Christian in 2023. If you're not a Christian here tonight, you're in the right place. Welcome. We love that you're here. And it's actually really good for you to hear this. But the reality is I'm talking to you tonight if you're like, you know what? I want to follow Jesus. I want to follow him with the rest of my life, all right? So, what does the Bible say about dating? Let's start with the first question. Are we ready? Yep. No one wants to say they're ready because it means they could be like dating. Like, don't say it. Okay, here we go. Is it okay to date people, go on dates with people, even if you don't think you'll end up together or married to that person? That was smooth. Yeah, we're good. Should the end goal of dating always be marriage? Ooh, big question. First up, dating is weird. Can I just say that? Like dating is a very strange idea. It's actually hard to talk about dating because there's nothing in the Bible about dating. This morning I was talking about homosexuality and I was talking about divorce and I was talking about friendships and relationship conflict, and that's actually in the Bible a lot. Dating is not biblical. And by that I mean it doesn't appear anywhere in the Bible. I'm not saying dating's bad. When I say it's not biblical, I mean it's not a biblical concept because they didn't do dating back then. Okay? It's like saying, what does the Bible say about driving cars? What does the Bible say about using a smartphone? There's actually nothing in there. And there's principles you can apply, but it's hard to actually talk specifically about dating. So I'm warning you, I don't often say this, but tonight I'm warning you, you can take it a little bit more with a grain of salt than you have my usual messages. And you're like, well, I always do that for your messages, Dan. What are you talking about? So it's not in the Bible as a concept. You might know this if you know anything about history, is that they didn't do dating back then. Dating is a concept of a very individualistic society. So we live, I talk about this all the time at church, we live in a culture that's incredibly individualistic. And so it's just over here, and it's all about you. You get to have your decisions. Your life really is about finding the true you. But that in the Bible, and in fact in most cultures in the world right now, they're actually living over here in what would be kind of collectivist culture. All right, so this is kind of the whole idea, is that you've got collectivism and you've got individualism, the two big concepts running our cultures. And there's a middle ground as well. And they both have positives and they both have negatives. Individualism's fantastic in some ways because it means you're free from group constraints. You can actually decide. You can have some freedom. If you you can't just get stuck somewhere and you're stuck there for the rest of your life. It's like, what am I going to do with my life? What's your last name? Smith. Well, you're a blacksmith. That's your life, the rest of your life. So it's a fantastic way to live because we've got such freedom, but it's actually a hugely pressured way to live. Don't you know that? You're free from the pressure of the group, but you have huge pressure to make the right decisions, to define who you are, to get the right career, and it better be a good one. You better not stuff up that decision. And you've got, lastly, the massive decision of who you're going to marry. And that's all on you, basically. That's a lot of pressure. But then down here in the collectivism, you've got freedom from performance, beautiful. It's like, if I don't perform well, it's okay, I'm part of the group. The group will work that out. But I do have a massive pressure to conform. So can you see how there's these two different ways of living? And our culture is obviously hugely over here. I think we need both. In fact, I think in the kingdom of God, in God's way, you actually see both of these working beautifully. So where is dating? How does dating come in? Clearly, it's a very individualistic idea. It's all the way over here. It's about you. Here's my definition. Selecting your partner via one-on-one appointments. That's a lot of pressure. It's just you and them, and you've got to try and work this out. Whereas in collectivism, who was it? It was your family. The whole family got to decide. And usually it was your mum and dad, and they just went, boom, you. That's the person for you. Which in some ways is cool. It's like, oh, good, all that pressure's off me. In other ways, you're like, I would never let my parents pick my husband or wife. But we can't change that. Here's the reality, guys. We can't change that. You can go ask your mum and dad if you want to pick you a spouse, but our society doesn't really work like that. So dating is a very strange idea. It's a new idea. It's really only been around for 80 years. Before that, they had this thing called courting. Anyone heard of courting before? Courting's basically, I like that. Courting's basically like dating, but it's more public. It's dating and your family is involved, and you might have a chaperone or someone checking in on you, that kind of thing. And before that, it was basically arranged marriages. So, dating's weird. If you feel like you can't work dating out, that's because I don't think our society has worked dating out yet, because it's a relatively new concept. So dating is strange. So it's okay. Selecting your partner via one-on-one appointments, I think, is strange. But it is the world we're living in. So there's no use going, I don't want to do it. because it kind of is how things work. So let's go back to the question. Is it okay to date people, go on dates, even if you think you're not going to end up married to that person? Should the end goal of dating be marriage? And my answer is yes, 100%. Dating is about marriage. Jesus said, have you not read that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female, and said, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife. Did you hear that? It's just a pretty quick process. And the two shall become one flesh, so they are no longer two but one flesh. Therefore what God has joined together, let no man separate. Marriage is the goal. Marriage is the container for romantic relationship. There's no real other space for romantic relationships than marriage or being on the track towards marriage. So, if you are not considering getting married, if marriage for you is not something you're thinking, well then dating is not for you either. Does that make sense? If you think singleness is the life for you, which by the way is fine, I think singleness gets a bad rap. Like we often, maybe you're single here today, and you probably sometimes you can feel like a second-class citizen, or everyone's like, oh, why are you still single? It's like, it's not like that. Like the Bible, like Christianity should be okay with singleness more than anyone else. Here's what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 7, to the unmarried and the widows, which is, that's kind of his way of saying to the single people, I say that it is good for them to remain single as I am. But if they cannot exercise self-control, they should marry. For it is better to marry than to burn with passion. And I want to say to you single people, Paul recommends singleness. Not if you are burning with passion though. Not if you find yourself a desire for intimacy and a desire to be with someone, which, if I'm honest, is probably most of us in this room find ourselves with that desire. Okay, so dating is it's leading up to marriage. Let me lay out a bit of a pattern. I got this from another pastor I was reading. A pattern of relationships, which I think is quite biblical and kind of makes sense for today. Here's a good pattern to follow with your life. First step, singleness. Okay, you can't get rid of that step. That'll always happen. There's no 6-year-olds on their way towards marriage. Okay, singleness is the way it starts. Sometimes singleness is a long period of time. We've got people in our church, about 3 years ago, they got married, and they've both been single, and they're like in their 40s, 50s, and they got married for the first time. It's never too late. Singleness can be long, can be short, but that's the first step. Second step is called intentional dating. Okay, I'm putting that word in there because you're not just mucking around, you're not trying to have a fun time. You're actually dating for a reason. There's an intention behind your dating. You're trying to find someone to marry. Then you've got engagement. I haven't got to explain that one. And then you've got marriage. Can I just get a woo? All right. So when I say where you are, I want you to go, woo. Okay. You ready? You can look around for the first one. Okay. Singleness. All right. Come on. Intentionally dating. Engagement. Oh, there's a few in the room. Okay. Cool. Married people. Yep. And the last step, this is going to confuse some of you. I've got up there. The last step is love. Oh. There's only one in the room. It's only one. You might be thinking, why don't you put love at the end? Like, isn't love the first step? Like, don't we fall in love with someone and then we decide, oh my gosh, I want to date you, or I want to spend the rest of my life with you when I get engaged? That usually is how it works, or at least how our culture says it works. But I actually think that isn't how the pattern goes, the real pattern goes. Our culture says, find someone you love and marry them. That's kind of what dating's about. Find someone you love and you just connect with it, and you got the feelings for, and you're like, this is the person, this is the one. And you fall in love with them. And after you fall in love, you marry them. The problem with that is, the whole concept of falling in love is that you can fall out of love, can't you? If you fell into it, you can fall out of it again. I don't think it's a good way of looking at it, because actually finding someone you love, I don't think you actually can love someone until you are in a covenant relationship in some ways, at least this kind of love. There's this verse in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. If you've been to a wedding, you've probably heard this verse. It's a beautiful one. It goes like this. And I've done so many weddings, I know it off by heart. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it is not rude, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Listen, it does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always trusts, always protects, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. You've heard that before. You can't do most of those things unless you're married. Love is patient. It's very hard to have your patience tested until you're living with them all the time. Then you actually have to love. Like, love's not having really nice feelings for someone. Love's not looking and going, wow, look at you. Woo, wee, I want to be with you. That's actually not love. That's nice. I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's liking someone's looks and wanting to hang out with them and being excited and having hormones coursing through your veins and all that kind of stuff. They're actually wonderful things. God created all of that stuff, but it's different to love. Love is a verb. Love is an action. We choose to love. I think the better order is, I think dating should be about find someone you could marry and love them. Get in the covenant and choose to love. Because then you can't fall out of love because you have chosen, this is the person I'm going to marry forever. So dating is not finding who you love. It's finding who you could marry. You might want to think about, what are they like? What are their family like? What do they care about? I want to say to you, and this is a hard one, I can tell you, don't spend heaps of time worrying about their looks, okay? Because here's the thing, guys, looks fade. Look at Jason Coleman, they fade. Look at your parents. Some of them are in the room. Look over at them. Far out. Their looks have faded. What happened? Your looks aren't going to be around for very long, and it's shorter than you think. Looks are good and they're fine, and God made people beautiful and all that kind of stuff, and I think there's something in that. But guys, don't put too much focus on looks because they're not going to last, and they're a really poor base for a good marriage. I was talking to my dad when I was trying to work out. I was dating Steph, my now wife. We're married for 16 years in a couple of weeks. Thank you. And I was trying to work out, I've been dating for 2 years, which I think is a pretty long time to be dating. And I was trying to work out, is this the one for me? Is this the one I could actually marry? Like, could I marry her? And I went to my dad for advice, and I never forget what Dad said. He said, Dan, don't look at the good stuff. Just pick the 3 worst things about Steph. He was a romantic, obviously, my dad. Pick the 3 worst things about Steph and decide, if they never changed, could you still be married to this person? And I was like, that's good advice. And it took me another 3 months, and I was like, okay, I know what they are. I can pick those worst 3 things, and I'm sure Steph could pick out 3 worst things about me. And I'm like, yep, if they never change, I'm still going to choose to love her. And I proposed, okay? So the question is, do we date to marry? And I would say, yes. Is that all right? Well, actually, just before I finish that question, I'm going to throw this one out there, okay? This isn't in the Bible. Just because you couldn't see yourself marrying someone doesn't mean you can't give them a chance, okay? I was saying that because I know a lady, she's a good friend of mine, and she had this guy ask her out many, many years ago, like 30 years ago. And he wasn't on her list. Like, we've all got the list. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've got the list of your characteristics and your looks and all the things. He wasn't on her list at all. Do you know what I mean? And so she said no. She's like, no, I don't want to go on a date with you. And he was quietly and persistently, respectfully, he kept asking. All right? I'm only saying that if you can do it respectfully. And if you get in the hint, just go away. But after a while, she was like, you know what? You're a nice guy. I'll give you a chance. And she gave him a chance. She got to know him in kind of group settings. She's like, why don't we just hang out together in a big group for a while? And she found something incredible about this guy. He's actually a man of integrity. He's a man who's got a job. My goodness, blokes, get a job. It's so good. He could provide for her. He was a solid Christian, and he loved God, and he wanted to do the right thing. And they got married. And I tell you what, they have one of the best marriages I know. I often say to Steph, I'm like, I want a marriage like those two. They've got an incredible marriage, full of romance and fun and commitment. It's a beautiful thing to see. Okay? Sometimes you've got to give someone a chance. Is that all right? All right. I don't care, I've said it. Okay. Okay, next question. This is a hard one. Complicated one. How far is too far sexually when you're not married? I'm a dad of a daughter now, so I'm going to say eye contact's too far. No premarital eye contact at Lifepoint Church. I'm watching you. It's just a hard one. Hey, that's a joke, by the way. Someone's about to leave. Someone's about to run away. I don't like this premise of this question, I'll be honest. I don't like the idea of this question. Because this question's kind of saying, I know it's wrong, but how close can I get to the wrong? I want to get close to the wrongness. Do you know what I mean? I know that sex is for the container of marriage. That's a beautiful place for it. That's the place of beauty and the freedom. That's the place to enjoy it, okay, where it's not going to hurt people. I know that, but how far can I get? It's almost like seeing God. I came to this school many, many years ago at Grace College, and we had to have knee-high socks. And I used to always ask, yeah, but how high do they have to be? How low can I get away with? And it's like this question's kind of seeing God like this headmaster who doesn't even like you, who's got this arbitrary rule that you're like, oh, all right, I'll do it if I have to. It's a stupid rule, but I'll do it. Can I at least get close? And Jesus came to give us life and life to the full. God's not holding out on you. So I have a problem with the premise of this question, but if I'm honest, when I was 17, I asked this exact question to my youth pastor. So I can't really pay you out because I have the exact same question. What does it mean? How far is too far? The clear answer, and I've already said it, is that sex is reserved for marriage only. The Bible's clear about that, which is really controversial in this modern day. I understand how controversial it is, all right? I remember people at Channel 10, I used to work at Channel 10, and they found out that I was a virgin because I wasn't married yet. And man, did I get it. You're like, what? Kay Sweetman's a virgin. What the heck? You're such a weirdo. What? You got to marry her and you haven't even had sex. How do you know you're sexually compatible? You're an idiot, mate. They just went on and on and on. It was a big joke of the whole TV station. I know how weird it is. I know it's so strange. But it is the place. Paul in 1 Corinthians 6, he says, flee from sexual immorality. I talked about that a few weeks ago. Not get as close as you can to the line. But the question the person's asking really is, what is sex? Any kids in the room? Okay, I don't think so. It's good. What is sex? Is it like intercourse? Is it like penetration? Is that sex? Or is it like touching? Is it like rubbing? Is it like putting hands in places? I know some of you feel very awkward right now. It's okay. We can talk about stuff like that. It's real. Is that sex? Good question. I don't know. I think anything involved in these sexual parts of your body, the private places in your body that actually God created, they're beautiful things. It's a good thing. I think anything there, actually God has reserved for someone. God has reserved that for the person who says, I want you forever and I'm going to give all of myself to you forever. And I think they're actually reserved. And I know that's really hard, okay? Can I just say, I just want to acknowledge for all of those dating in the room that went, ooh, before, you are living in one of the hardest times because we say to people, and I think it's a good thing to say to people, don't have sex until you're married. But then also in Australia, do you know when the average age of marriage is? 30. So it's that's a long time. They used to say, don't have sex until you're married, and then they'd get married at 17. And it's like, okay, well, like, this is the time that my kind of sex drive and everything I'm created for, it's all kind of working in this direction. Like, but now it's about you were living in a really difficult time. I know, I went through the same period. It's a really hard thing to do, okay? I just want to acknowledge that. I understand the strain and the pain and the difficulty that can really be. But God is not trying to hold out on you. He's not. And Christians have always been asked to do radical things when following Jesus, even things they didn't always understand. That is just what it means sometimes to follow him. So the question is not how far can I go? The question is, do I trust Jesus with every single part of my life? And I want to say two things to finish this question. One, if you're here today and you're not a Christian and a follower of Jesus, this rule isn't for you, and I'm not trying to judge you, okay? I'm not trying to say you've got to stop doing all these things to be able to come to church. Jesus never said that. He said, come as you are, we accept you, and we love you, okay? This is for people that have said, God, I just want him more than I want anything else in the world. I'm willing to follow him to even radical places that our culture says are strange. I also want to say a word to those who love God, but find themselves repeatedly crossing a line in this area. I dated Steph for 2 years, my wife, and we did not have sex, but I can tell you it was really hard. And I'm not trying to cop out, but I'm saying there is grace for you. There is love for you from Jesus. Jesus did not come to condemn the world, but to save it. And there's not just love, there's actually power to change and flee from temptation as well. I think setting boundaries is a good thing early on in your relationship. And I think even praying together about this is a really powerful thing. It's really hard because you're like, oh, I don't want to pray about it. I don't want to invite God into this. But when you do, beautiful things can happen. All right. How am I doing time-wise? Whoa, I've got to keep moving. Okay. Better get to the next one. Is online dating okay? Well, there's definitely nothing in the Bible about that, okay? I actually looked up, when did online dating start? It started in 1995, which some of you weren't alive at 1995, so it's actually been around for a long time. This is a bit of a stretch. I want to read to you Genesis 24, the first ever online dating. Okay, I want you to read this. Abraham was now very old, and the Lord had blessed him in every way, and he said to the senior servant of the household, swear by the Lord, the God of heaven, the God of earth, that you will not get a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, who he was living around, among whom I am living, but you will go to my country and our own relatives and get a wife for my son Isaac. Long story short, you're like, what are you talking about, Dan? Abraham looked around and he had his son Isaac, and he's like, there's actually no one suitable here for me. He looked around first and said, hey, this is not working. I'm going to go, I'm going to use someone, I'm going to go and I'm going to find a suitable partner elsewhere. And I think actually kind of that's what online dating is. I think it's totally fine. I know lots of people that have got married, good friends of mine who have got married, and they met online. I don't have any problem with it. We spend 4 to 6 hours on our phone, so it makes sense we'll find someone on our phone as well. It's a much bigger pool of people, obviously, that you can kind of meet. I would say, I've noticed this, I've got people close to me who are currently doing this, and maybe some of you guys, you miss out on knowing their circle. And that's a big thing, because when you get to know someone, you're actually knowing their friends and you're knowing their family. So if you're going to be online dating, I would just say, go for it. It's fine, but make sure you try and get to know their family and their circle and their network, and spend time with them in a group setting to find out what they really like. Is that all right? Man, I had so much more to say about that, but I've run out of time. So, next. Online dating's fine. Last one. Can I leave the church to find a spouse? I'm not sure what this question was asking. Whether it's like, can I leave Lifepoint to find a spouse? Never. No, maybe. Maybe you can. You wouldn't be the first person to go, you know what, I need to find a partner elsewhere. But you've got to seek first the kingdom of God. You don't want to make marriage partnership like the most important part of your life. Alex is going now, so see you, bro. No, sorry, that's a bad joke. Sorry, Jim. I know him, it's fine. If you're new to the church, you're like, what the heck is going on in this place?
If the question is asking, can I leave the church, as in the Christian church, that's a real bad idea. Had someone asked me a few weeks ago, Dan, why can't I date a non-Christian? As a Christian person, okay, why can't I date a non-Christian if they're a really, really good person? I said, that's a good question, but it actually has got nothing to do with them being a good person. It's about them basing their life on their fundamentally sound and fundamentally same foundation. That's what it's about. 2 Corinthians 6 says, do not be yoked together with unbelievers. Which sounds really harsh, but it's the idea of Paul saying, hey, it's like oxen, they're yoked together. You know, like two kind of cattle, that's kind of their technology of the day. And he's saying like don't get in the yoke with someone who's actually going a fundamentally different direction to you. That's always going to end badly. Imagine like just two different types of animals in there. It's just not going to work. It's a bad idea. It's not about excluding people. It's about working together. And maybe the person writing this, maybe the person who wrote this question was like, look, I'm just finding this so hard, Dan. And I'm just going to say maybe that's you tonight. Maybe you're finding this so hard. You've been waiting for a Christian spouse and you've done everything and you're just tired of waiting. You never thought it would take this long. But I just say to you, it's never time to leave Jesus. Let me close with this verse. There was a time when a whole lot of people were finding Jesus' teaching way too countercultural, way too weird, way too different to how they were used to living. And this is what happened in John 6. From this time, many of his disciples turned back and no longer followed him. You don't want to leave too, do you? Jesus asked the 12. Simon Peter answered him. I love Simon Peter. Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. We've come to believe and to know that you are the Holy One of God. I love how he doesn't say, Jesus, everything you're saying makes sense and I'm all for it. He's like, look, if I could go somewhere else, I would. But I can't. I don't get this. I'm in the same boat as everyone that left Jesus, but I know something different to them. I know that you are the one. That you have all the life I need. I just can't go anywhere else. And that's the kind of people I want to be in this church. Jesus is the true relationship, guys. He's the only place we can go. So let's wrap up our series. Band, you guys can come back. We'll be about to close in a time of worship and response to him. I just got a sense tonight as I was kind of preparing this message this afternoon, actually. I was praying about it, preparing it. People were still sending their questions in. I just got a sense that tonight we need to do something a bit different. We need to do a recommitment. We need to actually say to God, hey, and I know some of you guys are dating, but many of you are not. You're like, well, most of that's irrelevant to me, Dan. But maybe there's somewhere else in your life, somewhere else in your relationships that you've been tempted to say, I'm finding this so hard. I don't want to forgive. I don't want to reach out. I don't want to call them again. I don't want to make the effort. I don't want to love my enemy. And tonight we just want to close our service together, close our time by saying, God, my life is yours. My life is yours. Whatever it takes, however it looks, even if my life ends up looking different to what I wanted, and believe me, it will, 100% chance. Even if all that happens, my life is yours. So can we just stand together and do that? Just want us all to stand. And if you just want to, if that's you tonight, if you're just like, I really need to say this to Jesus again. Maybe you've been following God for like 30, 40 years. Or maybe you're here for, I'm very, very new to the journey. But if you just want to say that to Jesus tonight, if you just want to say, Mike, you know what? I need to say it again to you, God. Where else would I go? Like, where else would I go? You're all I have. My dating life, my relationships, my entire life. You have the words of truth. If you just want to say to him again, I think it's really important we say it over and over again. Jesus, my life is yours. Why don't you just take a moment? Just sing this song out. You might want to even just, if you've got enough room there, just get onto your knees even at your seat and just say, Jesus, my life is yours. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did and you want more Lifepoint content, subscribe to our channel right now. Or if you're in the area around Moreton Bay or Rothwell, head to our service. Sunday, we'd love to see you there. lifepoint.org.au for all the details. We'll see you soon.